Okay, so in today's video, we are taking a look at the all-new 2022 Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, and we are pitting this guy against its own sibling, the 2020 Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, the OG Tab S6 Lite that we like so much. Now, this video has been requested by so many people, so let's go ahead and waste no time. Let's jump in. Now, here's a quick heads up that I want to give you. There's a lot of things that I'm going to be covering about the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite that will sound so familiar, especially if you've been following the channel for a while. And that's going to be simply because you've heard it quite a few times in many of my previous videos as I reviewed the 2020 version of the Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. But it is absolutely necessary that I reiterate a lot of that stuff that I've covered already in previous videos, because a lot of people have requested that I do just that in the comment section, and also because there are still people out there who are not familiar at all with the 2020 version of the Tab S6 Lite, let alone the 2022 version. With all of that being said, of course, let's go ahead and jump in, starting off with the design. Both the original Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite and the current 2022 model share exactly, and I mean exactly to the T, the same design, and that literally means nothing has changed. Now, going around the tablet right here, as we take a look at some of the physical features that we have on both tablets, again, for those of you who don't know, what you are looking at here is a very sleek and modern looking tablet. Well, this applies for both tablets, right? So both tablets have a very sleek design, a very modern look to them. They are pretty dense, yet very portable. And that's one of the key qualities that people absolutely love about this lineup, about the Tab S6 Lite lineup here, right? Plus it has that, premium look, right? So just to the look and to the feel, it just feels premium, even though it's a mid-range tablet. Now, since they're both the same in terms of just hardware, so hardware-wise, they are both the same, I want to switch and just use the singular when referring to both tablets. And I'm sure you'll be able to follow me here. So what you have on the face of the tablet here is a uniform bezel, right? And that display stands at 10.4 inches. Again, it's a TFT display pushing a resolution of 1200 by 2000. In terms of physical features, as I mentioned earlier, you would have the typical available buttons, right? So the power button, the volume rocker, the mics are even located at the same spot. The SD card slot. But anyway, going to the USB Type-C port here, here's some bad news for some of you guys there. A lot of people have been asking whether the new model, the 2022 version, can push out video signal. As of now, as of the shooting of this video and as of my testings, this guy does not push out video signal. It's just the same dud as what you had on the previous model here. Now you have a dual setup for the speakers, of course. Speaker quality, the same. They sound exactly the same. Very crisp sound, sounds very good. Tuned by AKG in both cases. If you look at the back of the tablet, you'll see that it says it right there. You also do have a headphone jack. Always good to see that, right? Headphone jack. One of the things that I was hoping they would change on the new one also, I was like, well, at least if they could change that, was the camera placement. Now, it could be considered to be petty for me to be saying that they should change that. But if you notice, you have to hold the camera up you have to hold the tablet up in order to get the camera to be in the middle, right? The new, more modern or newer generation of tablets actually have the camera when you hold them. They will have the camera on the long arm of the tablet, on the long side of the tablet when you hold them in landscape position. But here you see they still have it at the top there. And I think that we've covered all of the most important things as far as the design goes. Now, before jumping into the meat of things, right, to talk about the main differences that Samsung implemented in the new one, let's briefly talk price. Now, if you live in Europe, the 2022 model of the Tab S6 Lite will run you 399 euros if you are buying it at the current regular price. Now, I've noticed on the French website, on the French Samsung website, that they have a deal going on for $330 if you were to buy this now, right? So that would be the range that you're looking at, 330 euros to 399 euros to get one of these. Now, if you live in the US, unfortunately, we don't know if this guy is going to drop in the US. As of now, the way I got mine was off of eBay, right? It ran me pretty close to it was pretty much $500. But you have to keep in mind that my unit, of course, is coming from overseas. And when I bought that, I made sure that it was the cheapest on eBay because there were quite a few of them, and this one was the cheapest at $409. It was like, let's say $500, and that includes shipping and all of that good stuff. So if you are in the US and you are looking to buy this, you are going to have to go to eBay. That's going to be your best bet. But whether you should go ahead and go through the hassle and buy that as opposed to just grabbing a different one here, that's a completely different question, right? But we will talk about that in a moment here. So let's go ahead and jump into performance, because again, that's where the meat of things is. And that's also where you realize that maybe you thought you were actually subscribed to the channel and you actually are not. If you realize that you are not subscribed, please do me a huge favor, hit both the like and that subscribe button there. I truly appreciate that. Now jumping on to performance here, the original Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite is running the Exynos 9611 chipset, right? Which at the time of release was considered to be kind of a mid-range chipset, a little bit lower maybe, but still a mid-range chipset. It is coupled, of course, with 4 gigs of RAM, with an expandable base storage of 64 gigs, and you can push that up to 1 terabyte. Now, in terms of just performance and how it performed at the time it dropped, it was decent performance, right? Definitely considered to be somewhere in the mid-range, and I'm saying at the time when it dropped because obviously as time goes by, newer generations, they just get faster. So even budget tablets now could even perform maybe better, potentially better than, you know, some of the mid-range from back in the days. But anyway, back then it was performing pretty well. It's still very relevant today, but now you get the 2022 model here coming at you with a Snapdragon chipset. You're looking at an SD720G. And 4 gigs of RAM also, it's a couple of 4 gigs of RAM, 64 gigs of base internal storage, just like this one, expandable at up to 1 terabyte. And when it comes out to performance, yeah, it's good. It's really good, like much better. I mean, you can immediately notice, especially when you put them side by side and as you open the application, even just starting up with just the boot up screen, right? So booting up the tablet, it boots up faster than the old one. And I mean, like twice as fast. Opening apps, oh yeah, it does that twice as fast as the OG Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite here. Now, when it comes down to, you know, day-to-day stuff, obviously no issues on either one of the tablets. When it comes down to heavy stuff, the Tab S6 Lite will struggle. You know, sure, mine is a little old, but it will struggle a little. But the new one doesn't even care. I am frankly very, very impressed with the CPU performance from the Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite from the 2022 model here. In fact, I'm also very impressed by the GPU performance, and let's talk about this. We've seen online, right? You know, articles are showing, you know, benchmark results or benchmark scores showing the GPU performance on the OG Tab S6 Lite here being better than, you know, slightly better than the 2022 Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. But guess what? It kind of smoked this guy when it came down to even things that are related to GPU. So things like gaming, it actually plays smoother, and things like video editing and rendering. Double the speed. I mean, double the speed. And sure, I know that my Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite here is old. You know, obviously I've had it for about 2 years or so, but I've been pretty gentle with it, if you ask me. I've been very, very gentle with it. I haven't loaded it up with a lot of stuff. You know, I gently use it, and as you can see, it still looks even new, but it does not care. This guy, I mean, you know, again, like I said, benchmark says that this is better, but the reality shows that this is twice as fast, and that should tell you something. And that's one of the reasons I don't do a lot of going over, you know, some benchmark scores and stuff. I'm going to bring it up every now and then just to maybe put a few things into perspective, but that tells you that what you see on paper doesn't necessarily translate into real life, into exactly what you picture real life is going to be, right? So you would see on paper, it would say, well, this is a score, and compared to the other one, and you would picture something completely different in real life. And I'm not saying that benchmark scores are not things to be considered. These are key indicators to consider when you are, you know, playing in the realm of specs of tablets. But in this case, just like in many other cases, you have to make sure that you actually take into account the actual user experience. And I can tell you that user experience here is much better when it comes down to productivity, much better than what you have here. Now, when it comes down to everything else, it's the same user experience, but productivity, performance, specs, all that, it's just that impressive. And again, like I said, from tablet boot up all the way to gaming. So there's not even an ounce of doubt in my mind that this new one is just killing it. But anyway, enough of that. Let's go ahead and cover something else. The OG Tab S6 Lite here was loaded with Android 10 when it first released, right? So you are supposed to see 3 major updates, and currently mine is running Android 12, right? So it's been updated twice already, and I still have 1 left to go. The advantage of the 2022 model is that it comes out of the box with Android 12 already loaded, meaning you start counting your 3 updates, your 3 major updates starting with Android 12. So you're gonna have 13, 14, and 15. And just like I said in the previous video, the reason I say 3 is because I just want to pick the worst case scenario. The drop of the 2022 Tab S6 Lite was so subtle and so obscure that we don't have that much information out there to confirm a lot of things on it, right? Especially like the support. So I'm giving you I'm giving you worst case scenario, which will be 3, like the old one. It has to be at least 3 major updates. And then best case scenario, maybe it's following the update schedule of the new generation, like the Tab S8 lineup, for example. If it's following that schedule, then obviously you'll be seeing 4 major updates and up to 5 years of security updates. So that's something to keep in mind. So at least 3 years, best case scenario 4, and at least 4 years for security, best case scenario 5. Just something to really keep in mind when you are going out there trying to buy this tablet. Now, they both support the Samsung S Pen, of course, the same way. In fact, they are interchangeable, right? So you can use one on the other, just like you can also with the Samsung Galaxy Tab S7 and the S7 Plus, which also means that when you're using the S Pen on the new one, you get the same features as the ones that you got on the original Tab S6 Lite. So things like turning writings into text, or the Smart Select tool, which allows you to crop, paste images, all that good stuff. It will be all the same. And if you need additional information about this, you can just go ahead and check out the full review that I have on the regular Galaxy Tab S6 Lite. Now, as far as camera goes, you get a 5 megapixel front-facing camera here, just like the old one, and then you get an 8 megapixel main camera on the back there. That main camera on the back on both tablets that can shoot, 1080p at 30 frames per second. And image quality is decent, like I always say, is pretty decent. Just make sure that you light up the setting of whatever subject you are trying to film. Battery size also is pretty much the same, 7040 milliamp. Lasts about the same thing. So far it's lasting the same as this one when it was brand new. It's the same battery size. Now I didn't see any drop in, at least as far as I can remember. The performance doesn't necessarily seem to play a major role where battery is draining or anything like that. So far I'm just gonna say same battery, same, like, it's gonna depend on your type of usage. Like I always say, it's subjective to how you use your tablet. So keep that in mind. But anyways, here's my take. I'm gonna say that there is, again, no doubt in my mind that the all new Samsung Galaxy Tab S6 Lite, so the 2022 Tab S6 Lite, is a much better tablet when it comes down to performance. And that of course increases your user experience, as this is a much better tablet that performs better with better specs. But it doesn't mean that you should go out there and just buy one, right? It depends on where you live. First of all, is it available where you live? In the US, I definitely would not advise for you to try to get it from overseas and shipped here, because it's going to cost you a lot. It's going to cost you $500. With that, you can actually just go ahead and buy a Tab S7, or you can simply buy a Tab S7 FE. You get a better CPU and GPU performance. Probably, I have to test that out also. Better CPU and GPU performance, you get a larger screen. So you have to keep that in mind when buying it. Now, if you live outside of the US, if you live in Europe, maybe in India, I'm not sure if it dropped in India yet. But anyway, so if you live in places, in regions where this tablet dropped, you have to, of course, compare that to what you have there. I know in some places, in fact, I think in France, on the website, this was going for $400 regular price, and the old one, I'm sorry, this one was going for $400 and the old one was also going for $400. So whether you were going for this or that, it was costing you the same thing. And the deal as of now is $330 for either one of them, right? So if you live there, right, obviously, instead of going for this, you would have to go, I mean, it would only make sense for you to go for this and pay the same price as you would with this one. So these are some of the things that you need to keep in mind as you are going on your way to buy this. Now, it's tough for me, almost impossible for me to know what you are looking for in a tablet. So let me know in the comment section what you're looking for in a tablet, what your criteria is. And I'm going to try to, see if I can assist and maybe help your purchasing decision. So make sure to comment. Of course, as always, make sure to share the video if you know anyone who will be interested in watching this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm going to catch you in the comment section. Like I said, I'm also going to catch you in the next video. Up until that next video, of course, as always, stay safe out there.